This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Yorion versus partners Sidar Ludevic, Katril, and Animar. Plenty of mana for us there, a tutor, some card draw, looking pretty good, we will keep. We see a turn 1 Sol Ring from the Katril. I think we just get down a tap land here. Katril just passing through the turn, we see Nature's Law from the partner player. Got a friend of the channel here, Hunter, the Katril player, so big thank you to Hunter for watching. Let's throw down a Scalding Tarn here, just trying to save myself some life, not getting bolted by the Mana Crypt. I think we're okay going for the Omen of the Sea here, scry 2 and draw when it enters. And we can actually do that at instant speed, so I'll hold on to it. Doubt we're going to make use of the Swords to Plowshares, but it's a good habit to get into. Seeing a spell this time from Katril, Harmonise will draw 3 cards, then discards a Corpse Connoisseur to the bin. That is due to hand size, so it's 7 cards over there. Daxos of Meletis for the partner player. So play Omen of the Sea at the end of the turn before we go around to ours. An Arcane Signet is a pretty good thing to play, I think. Don't mind keeping either of those, to be honest. So by the beginning of our turn we've drawn into both of them, drop a Plains for the turn, and we'll play out the Arcane Signet here. Then we'll be going in for Yorion next turn maybe, so a Spell Seeker here might be a good idea, I think, which means we can finally get down the Mana Crypt, play out the Spell Seeker, and we'll be able to search for an instant or sorcery with mana value 2 or less. So I'm thinking I'd quite like a Dovin's Veto here. Yeah, and then we can go Mystical Tutor in for a combo piece during the next turn or two maybe. We'll just hold up the Swords to Plowshares here. Katril casting Necrologia. Cast this spell only during your end step as an additional cost to cast it, pay X life and draw X cards, so they've gone up to 11 in hand, 33 life. And then discarding a Sunblade Angel, flying First Strike, Vigilance and Lifelink. And then some lands. The Corpse Connoisseur is just an unearthed target for them. Daxos swings in our direction. Obviously can't block the Daxos, so it hits us, and they very kindly get rid of a Marsh Flats off the top for us. And we see a Knight of Autumn enter the battlefield, so maybe going after Mana Crypt or Omen of the Sea. Yeah, they do go for the Mana Crypt there. Then seeing a Coiling Oracle, they did not get down an additional land there, I don't think. So we draw into a Soul Herder, probably could have done with that land last turn. So after all that, might have to just bolt down the Sea Gate. And we'll try and keep the mana flowing here. Let's go for the Yorion. And we'll flicker all of our non-land permanents. So that triggers Omen of the Sea and the Spell Seeker. We put Omen of the Sea on the stack first and have our tutor resolve. And we'll go for the Mystical Tutor because that can search up Ghostly Flicker, which is part of a combo piece that we might need. Could always go for Ephemera instead, actually. Yeah, let's go Ephemera into our hand and then we can flicker the Yorion and do all that again. And here we see lands. That is a Deserted Beach and a Core Cartographer, so put the Core Cartographer on top and we'll draw into the Deserted Beach. Just a little bit too late, unfortunately. Drew into Soul Herder that turn, by the way. Animar Soul of the Elements into play. Animate Dead, and that is going to resurrect something in their own graveyard. Not going for the Unearth, curiously, because they don't want to see it exiled, I dare say. Which might encourage us to go for the Swords to Plowshares on that. So in comes the Corpse Connoisseur, they get an Entomb, and decide to put Zetalpa into the bin, so that will give Indestructible to their commander. And there's Katril. With 6 cards in hand, we see that this gets 7+ counters. It has Double Strike, First Strike, Flying Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample, and Vigilance. No haste, thankfully. Daxos swinging back in at us again. We know what's on top of our library, don't we? Well, we need to flicker things before the end of the turn anyway. Before the end step, so might as well block with the Spell Seeker, and then we'll go for this Ephemerate now. Point the Ephemerate at the Yorion. So we'll get the Spell Seeker out of the way before the Daxos can kill it during the damage phase, which means no triggers from Daxos. A 2-mana Oakhame Adversary for the partner player after that, then playing out their commander Sidar. Yorion going to trigger at the end step. So once again, Omen of the Sea goes onto the stack first. Spell Seeker, we can grab Mystical Tutor here, I think. And then it's scry 2 and draw. There is a Plains. Watcher for Tomorrow is going to be handy to have, so we're going to shuffle after we draw into that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Watcher for tomorrow on top for us to draw now. And then Mystical Tutor here. So could go for a board wipe here, although one of the biggest threats would survive with an indestructible counter on it. So yeah, probably best just to go for the Ghostly Flicker. Ephemerate going to rebound, and we will point that at the Yorion. So let's float white mana with the Arcane Signet, and Yorion is flickered, it comes back into play straight away. So once again going to exile all three of our things. They only come back in at the end step. So with the floating mana, let's go Swords to Plowshares onto the Katril. I just think Catril's going to swing straight in towards us. They do gain 10 life from that at least. Likely to just see Katril again straight away, unfortunately. Draw into the Ghostly Flicker we put on top. We throw down the Deserted Beach, go up to 5 mana. And then there's a bunch of stuff over here. This is mana value 4 or less, so yeah, probably best to just go after this player with the Lavinia maybe. Players weren't looking in our direction, then I'd definitely go for Soul Herder, probably Watcher for tomorrow there, but we do need to definitely be protecting ourselves. So Yorion triggering at the end of the turn again. Once again, Omen of the Sea and Spellseeker. Not holding up Dovin's Veto mana, unfortunately. But we'll grab ourselves a Cloud Shift so that we can do a similar trick to what we just did again. Undoing Version, I do not want to see. Core Cartographer back on top again would be useful. I'd rather just see lands, I think. Although that is a really good means of ramping. Yeah, I'll put it on top. Might have to take a turn off casting that next turn, unfortunately. A Spellskite now, that could protect... yeah, that could mess up our Cloud Shift and Ghostly Flicker stuff. Puts a plus counter on the Animar. Then casting a Wood Elves for only 2 mana. With the Wood Elves, decide to shock in a Breeding Pool. Crossing Verge being cracked by Lathril, or Katril, I should say. They could have cast their Katril there, but the Sol Ring has been switched off by our Lavinia, playing themselves an Arcane Signet. Can't be attacked by anything here, thanks to the Lavinia, of course, so really want to get into a land off the Omen of the Sea, so I'll go Cloud Shift onto Yorion during the second main. This gives our opponent a chance to do something, but it also brings everything in during the end step. So Yorion enters again, we flicker everything again, and then it all enters once more during the end step. Search up a Cyclonic Rift with Spellseeker this time, which I'm sure my opponents will be delighted to see. Noteworthy that Lavinia does switch off the Spellskite, which could be noteworthy to us. They did obviously allow us to go for the Cloud Shift there. Alright, a Felidar Guardian. That is another combo piece, a different combo. I'm going to scry at both that and the Spine of Issar to the bottom, because like I said, I do want a land here. And we do get into one. And then drawing into another land after that, that's really good. So we'll drop a basic. There is a duel in here that cares about us having 2 basics. So I'll play out the Core Cartographer here and we'll take advantage of that getting flickered. And then we'll go shields down again. That is a Soul Herder. This definitely flickers at the end step. Yes, it does. So we'll be able to flicker Yorion with this. Alright, and that gets a counter spell on it. So now we're hoping that we get into a Sun Titan for the Soul Herder. We're going to have to be cracking the Cyclonic Rift sooner than later, I think. They can attack in at us again. And they do have the activation on all their rocks and stuff. So maybe holding up Eerie Interlude would have been a better play there. We will just hold back at that, I think. Obviously a counterspell there didn't go on the Cyclonic Rift, so could have been much worse for us. Civic Gardener for Animar. Untap a target creature or land when it attacks. And then casting Professional Facebreaker, which allows them into a free Solemn Simulacrum. The Animar has protection from white, which is relevant to us, but it's also got 5 plus counters on it now. 4 cards in hand. The Animar swinging in towards the Katril player. I would have thought they'd swing in at us, to be honest. Wood Elves swings in over there as well. Not sure why they want to see the back of the Wood Elves. Deciding not to block the Wood Elves anyway. Triggering the Professional Facebreaker anyway. That will create a treasure token. Peregrine Drake into play now, so while everyone was worried about us, as they should have been, might be that the Animar combos off out of nowhere here. That is just a blue mana Peregrine Drake, and it untaps 5 lands when it enters. Surprisingly sacrificing their treasure there. Anyway, they went for Terror of the Peaks. So, yeah, they've only got 2 cards in hand, but we might see the back of some of our creatures here. Going to get punished for trying to do too much with the Soul Herder. Definitely should have just held up Eerie Interlude or Ghostly Flicker. And got them into Maelstrom Wanderer. That can deal 7 damage to someone with the Terror of the Peaks. They get into a Vizier of the Menagerie there. Not sure what the other Cascade was. Oh, it was a Swan Song, not the best spell to have when you've got Maelstrom Wanderer in your deck. Good to know that they're playing counter magic here though. So 1 card in hand, bunch of plus counters on the Animar now. That is going to go up to a 10-10. And Terror of the Peaks going on Yorion. This is the 3 damage from the Vizier of the Menagerie. And then the 7 from Terror of the Peaks going on to Yorion as well. So they had a free lightning bolt that went to waste there. Evoking out a Muldrifter after that, so they're not holding up blue magic at least. And that is a further 2 damage onto the Spellseeker. We've only got Path to Exile and Mana Drain left in the deck that can fetch anyway, so not too worried about that. Much rather keep the core Cartographer. And there we see a Kozilek Butcher of Truth. That is going to throw 12 damage straight at someone's face, I imagine. They will draw 4 cards to the Kozilek. Be interesting to see how much tunnel vision people have against us when Animar's going off here. Noteworthy that all of these things do have haste thanks to the Maelstrom Wanderer. So even if we bothered to hold up the Eerie Interlude or Ghostly Flicker, I doubt it would have done much for us. Could have protected a few creatures, I suppose. Yeah, they're in the second main now, so I don't think it really matters. They play a Llanowar Elves, and the Terror of the Peaks going to ping this out of the way, which I'm happy about because we are going to Cyclonic Rift over the next turn or 2. And then a Toski Bearer of Secrets, which can't be countered. 1 damage onto the Oracle. A free Ornithopter of Paradise as well. Really playing into a board wipe over there. Unless they just really want the additional mana. They have tapped down the Llanowar Elves already. But they do have 1 floating. They'll obviously have an additional mana from this thanks to the haste. And still going. A Glenelendra Archmage. And that means we're going to have to rift during our turn, annoyingly. They get rid of the Daxos of Meletis for us. Katril Aspect Warper into play once again. So I think this is exactly the same. Double strike, first strike, flying indestructible, lifelink trample, vigilance 10-10. Oakham adversary swings in towards us. We are not going to be blocking there. Ludevic joining his partner on the battlefield. And after that casting an Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness thankfully foregoing the counterspell and grabs back a Nature's Law. Drawing from the Ludevic at the end of the turn, so they'll end with 6 cards in hand. Okay, we draw into a Restoration Angel. So, let's drop a land. And then, like I said, I think we just have to go for the Cyclonic Rift now, annoyingly. All thanks to this thing, because they can just counter it as soon as they untap. Oh, I'm glad I checked now. Yeah, I forgot about this. 1 mana of any colour, and that can counter a Cyclonic Rift. So, yeah, not sure what all to do here. I might reach out to my opponents in the chat, see if any of them can remove this thing. Yeah, Hunter seems pretty eager to concede this one. It's not over yet. I don't see what the partner player could have for free here, so it will just have to be Restoration Angel onto the Lavinia, I think. And then that allows us to hold up Eerie Interlude, Ghostly Flicker, and the Dovin's Veto. So yeah, let's go Resto Angel. Doesn't stop us from getting slammed in at with the Katril, unfortunately. Luckily that won't kill us as of yet. Okay, well we got some information out of Meet Me by the Moonlight. He's got his own Cyclonic Rift apparently, which might be worth holding up the Dovin's Veto for. So Lavinia is going to trigger there, and that'll stop some of the stuff swinging in at us at least. Might as well go at Watcher for tomorrow here. And that comes down, we've got the Sun Titan there, Solitude would be excellent. Could go for the Solitude, get rid of the Eerie Interlude I suppose. Vanquish the Horde available to us, although can't necessarily get that thanks to the Alendra. Yeah, we'll just put the Solitude under it. We can always flicker with Ghostly Flicker, get the Solitude back in hand by getting rid of that, and then exile something from hand. Yeah, I mean, that's the best we can do here, I think. We will draw a card to Ludevic at the end of the turn, and draw into a Meteor Golem. Solitude is switched back on here thanks to the Spell Skite not being able to be activated thanks to Lavinia. Anyway, they cast an Imperial Recruiter. Search for a creature with power 2 or less. The Terror of the Peak's going to ping this thing out of the way. We'll see what they tutor for with Imperial Recruiter before doing anything else. Searching up a Hydroid Krasis, which is going to put a lot of cards in their hand, and we know that they've got Counter Magic. Counter Magic in the deck, that is. We don't know what they've got in hand. Well, they can't activate the Glenalendra here. They can't activate the Spellskite, so probably best going Ghostly Flicker now. So flickering the Watcher for tomorrow, going to untap the Arcane Signet as well, might be able to draw into a path somehow. I don't see what's going to help us here, to be honest. So we get Hideaway once again, and that is just a bunch of lands. Agent of Treachery is the obvious call there. So Agent of Treachery could start flickering, stealing a bunch of stuff. I imagine these things come barreling straight in towards us though. 16 mana being thrown into the Hydroid Krasis. They've got protection from white, so they can slam us for a lot with that. Might be able to get us on commander damage here, although I don't fancy Annihilator 4 swinging in at us either. So I'm just going to go for Solitude, and we'll have to get rid of Eerie Interlude, I think. Okay, this player decides to scoop while I'm making my decision there. Yeah, I don't like getting rid of Eerie Interlude, but Dovin's Veto could be more useful. You know what, I'm going to get rid of Dovin's Veto because we've got the Agent of Treachery available to us, and Eerie Interlude could be really good with that. So all we can do here is go after Kozilek with the Solitude. Obviously can't point Solitude at the Animar. We'll just have to hope that they can't get the 21 points of commander damage on us, which I imagine they can. So Solitude goes straight into the bin, and the Kozilek gets a Swords to Plowshares. Terror of the Peak's going to shove 16 points of damage onto us, and then they'll be able to get rid of us with the Animar, whether they get the 21 points of commander or not. And there we are, straight into an Eldrazi. So I highly doubt the Animar is going to lose this one. Would have been alright if it wasn't for that Glenalendra Archmage. It was a really good draw, that. So now destroying the Lavinia. 10 damage from the Eldrazi goes on to us. They need to play a 5-power creature now, and only play a couple more creatures, and maybe they'll be able to get through with Animar to our opponent. I mean, they swing in with this at our opponent. It's Annihilator 4. They either get rid of pretty much all their creatures or start getting rid of lands, and yeah, they've hardly got any lands over here, unfortunately. Playing a Soul of the Harvest, they've got 3 mana left, thanks to having a couple of mana dorks. The 6 damage finishes us off from the Soul of the Harvest. Playing Elvish Mystic. Animar at a 21-21 here. It can't attack or block, thanks to the Lavinia, but they can attack with all this hasty big stuff, which is probably all that matters here. Don't think they can quite get them. They'll buy another turn. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They did tell us they have Rift, so if they drop a land next turn, they could sacrifice all their creatures, take a massive hit, survive and go Rift, maybe. Haven't worked out the damage, though. Yeah, that's seemingly the plan. Get rid of all their creatures, including 2 commanders. Oh, they do just about get them there. Get them down to -3. Yeah, not likely that they would have done anything there. Plus Animar can rebuild really quickly. So anyhow, that didn't go as well as the early game dictated, but hopefully you all enjoyed it anyway. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.